First War of Indian Independence, 1857 AD. Under this chapter, we are going to study about the reasons for the First War of Indian Independence, reasons for the mutiny, its failure and its consequences. In this capsule, we are going to study about the reasons for the First War of Indian Independence. Students, as you know, the British had established their rule in many regions. They improved their trade and they were trying to rule the whole of India. For this, they had introduced subsidiary alliance, doctrine of lapse, etc. Due to these, some regions came under the British. Discontentment grew among the people and a mutiny broke out in 1857. The Indians call this as the War of the Indian Independence and the British call this as Sepoy Mutiny. There were four reasons for the War of Indian Independence. They are the political causes, the economic causes, administrative causes, and the military causes. Now let us learn about political causes. Dalhousie introduced the doctrine of lapse. According to this, the kingdom of a native ruler who had no natural heir could not transfer his kingdom to his adopted children. Thus, his kingdom came naturally under the British rule. Because of this, Satara, Jaipur, Jhansi, Udaipur, etc. came under the rule of the British. Dalhousie abolished the titles of the Nawabs of Tanjore and Carnatic. The Mughal Emperor and the Nawab of Awadh and many others were thrown out of power. Lakhs of soldiers employed by these kings became unemployed. This became a strong cause for the protest of 1857 against the British. Students, now let us learn about the economic causes which led to the First War of Indian Independence. Due to the industrialization in England, Indian handicrafts and cottage industries suffered heavily. Because of this, the Indian artisans and weavers became unemployed. Heavy taxes were imposed to sell Indian goods in England. The zamindars exploited the peasants. The authority to collect taxes was withdrawn from the talukdars. The Inam Commission, appointed by the government, confiscated the lands from rich landlords who had received tax-free lands. These economic reasons too caused the 1857 mutiny against the British. Similarly, many laws introduced by the British made way for the freedom struggle. These laws passed by the British were applicable only to the Indians. English became the language of the courts. The judges passed judgment in favor of the English. The common man did not understand this. Not only these, some of the military causes also led to the freedom struggle. The condition of the Indian sepoys in the British Army was pathetic. The status, salary, and opportunities for promotion that British soldiers enjoyed were not given to Indian soldiers. The Indian soldiers were forced to serve overseas by the British. All these reasons paved the way for the First War of Indian Independence. Now it is time to think and answer. Who introduced the doctrine of lapse? Answer: Lord Dalhousie. Which were the regions affected by the doctrine of lapse? Answer: Satara, Jaipur, Jhansi, Udaipur, etc. During the British rule, the language of the court was dash. Answer: English. Now pair up and answer. What were the economic causes of the 1857 uprising? Answer: The Industrial Revolution in England reduced the demand for Indian-made goods. Heavy tariffs were imposed on the Indian-made goods. The artisans and weavers became unemployed. State whether true or false. The conditions of the Indian sepoys in the British Army was pathetic. The sepoys were happy when sent overseas. Answer: The conditions of the Indian sepoys in the British Army was pathetic is true. The sepoys were happy when sent overseas is false. In this capsule, we have studied about the main reasons for the First War of Indian Independence, that is, political causes, economic causes, administrative causes, and military causes. For more learning, briefly explain What do you mean by doctrine of lapse? How was the British law in India? How was the condition of the Indian soldiers in the British Army? Important keywords in this capsule: revolt, struggle, Inam land, gifted land by kings or governments. Here are some activities for you. Name and mark the regions which came under the doctrine of lapse. List out the handicrafts and machine-made goods in India. Thank you.